Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will be recapping a movie titled Snakes on a Plane from the year 2006. What if the plane you're on is filled with venomous snakes? Would you be able to save your life until the plane lands? Let's get started. The movie starts and we see our thrill-seeking main character Sean Jones riding on his bike in Hawaii. After a while, he stops to rest and wanders around to find a man hanging upside down in front of him. Sean tries to help him, but the man tells him to run away as we see that they're not alone. Sean backs out from there and hides from the incoming men. Then, a notorious gangster named Eddie Kim arrives and kills the person who Jones was trying to save a little earlier. After witnessing a murder, Sean hurries to get out of there. The bad guys hear the sound of his bike and shoot their guns at him. But since it's a movie, the bad guys have a bad aim and Jones manages to escape unscathed. At home, Sean watches TV and finds out that the person who he saw get murdered was a prosecutor. The man supposedly had a lot of evidence against Eddie Kim, which could have sent him to jail. Sean is still in shock after witnessing a murder, and he soon finds out that Eddie Kim has sent his men to kill him. He tries to hide from them and finds a man on his balcony who tells him to do as he says, if he wants to live. The man successfully saves Sean and takes him in his car. He introduces himself as FBI agent Neville Flynn and takes Sean as the sole witness in the Eddie Kim murder case. Sean is taken to the interrogation room, where he denies that he saw the murder take place. He's afraid that testifying against Eddie Kim could turn out to be dangerous for his life. Agent Flynn then explains the situation to Sean that whether he goes to court or not, Eddie Kim will still be after his life. So it will be better for him to testify against Eddie Kim and send him to jail. Agent Flynn advises Sean to go to Los Angeles with him and testify against Eddie Kim, or else he will always have to hide from him and be in constant threat for his life. Finally, Sean agrees to do as Agent Flynn suggests. They will now take a flight from Hawaii to LA on the 747-400 Boeing. It's the last day of duty for flight attendant Claire before she retires. The flight is thoroughly checked by security dogs to ensure a safe flight, since it will be carrying an FBI agent and a very important witness to a murder case. But the men of Eddie Kim manage to put crates full of venomous snakes in the cargo hold of the plane. The passengers are then welcomed with garlands, but what they don't know is that the flowers were sprayed with pheromones to make the snakes more aggressive. Eddie Kim's plan is to get Sean killed by those snakes before he even reaches LA, and he doesn't mind if all the other passengers of the flight lose their lives in the process. Everyone is on board, and other passengers in the flight besides Flynn and Sean are quite interesting characters on their own. The flight finally takes off. So far, everything is normal and everyone starts to get to their work. A flight attendant named Tiffany takes interest in Sean and tries to flirt with him. The flight reaches 350,000 altitude, which triggers the timer set in the crates, which are full of snakes. The timer is finally off, and the snakes are let loose in the plane on their own. One of these snakes even eats a cat present in the cargo hold. Meanwhile, a very excited couple go into the bathroom for a brief romantic session. They take off the fire detector as they plan to smoke inside there. They start to get busy, and a snake enters the bathroom. They finally notice this snake, which starts to bite them with its poisonous fangs, and the flight attendants outside think that they're just enjoying themselves. At the same time, another snake causes a short circuit, which causes some trouble in the cockpit. Slowly and steadily, all the snakes make their way into the passenger area. A man enters the bathroom to do his business, and surprise, surprise, a snake is there as well, and it bites the man who dies trying to get it off of himself. So far, the snakes have killed 3 innocent lives. The plane experiences some turbulence due to the short circuit, and the pilot goes down to fix the plane system. He manages to fix it, and the plane gets its power back. But before he could make his way back up to the cockpit, he gets bit by a snake on his neck. Claire sees the pilot lying on the floor, and the co-pilot goes down to check on him. Since they don't find any snakes, they believe the pilot might have suffered from a stroke. Claire goes to Agent Flynn and asks for his help. Flynn checks the body of the pilot and finds that he is dead. The weather is also starting to get worse, which is making the passengers feel uneasy and scared. Claire tries to calm the 2 brothers who are flying on their own for the first time. The co-pilot finally notices a snake in the cockpit and tries to kill it, but in doing so, he lets the oxygen masks out above the passenger's seat. And with the oxygen masks, out comes the swarm of snakes, ready to attack anyone on their side. Now the whole passenger area is filled with snakes, and many of the passengers get bit. Agent Sanders gets out of his seat to check what was going on, but he too gets bitten by a snake. Agent Flynn then uses his stun gun to fight off the snakes and tells the frantic passengers to move to the front of the plane, since the back was already filled with snakes. The snakes cause total chaos in the plane, and everyone is fighting to save their lives. Many of them lose their life, and a few manage to get to the front. Agent Flynn plans to create a barrier between the snakes and themselves. They use the luggages and bags to block the snakes from getting into the front. One of the two brothers who were traveling alone has been bitten by a snake, and if they don't get him help, he will soon lose his life. A flight attendant named Grace hears a baby crying from the other side of the barrier. She goes to where the baby is and manages to bring it to the safe side of the plane. But while saving the baby, she gets bitten. Agent Sanders has also lost his life. Flynn calls the FBI office and tells Agent Harris about the whole situation with snakes. Agent Harris then orders his team to find a poisonous snake expert as soon as possible. Meanwhile, a woman on the flight uses olive oil to suck out the venom from the hand of the kid who was bitten earlier and successfully saves his life. Agent Harris gets hold of the snake expert Dr. Stephen Price and tells him about the flight, which was filled with snakes. Dr. Price gets in contact with Agent Flynn and asks him to make a list of snakes that are present in the flight. To save the lives of the passengers, they need to find the right anti-venom. The passengers in the flight have started to lose their cool, and Claire tries to calm everyone down. But the passengers don't listen and go to Agent Flynn to question him about why and how the plane was filled with snakes. Flynn doesn't feel obligated to answer them, but Sean tells everyone that the snakes were filled in the plane by Eddie Kim, who he was going to testify against. Agent Flynn tells everyone that they don't have time blaming people for the situation they're in. He asks everyone to collect all the dead snakes in the plane, so they can inform the experts, who will get the anti-venom ready for them when they land in Leh. Sean wants to help out because he feels guilty for putting the lives of everyone in danger. But Agent Flynn doesn't let him, as he wants him safe and alive. If Sean dies, Eddie Kim will never get jailed. At the same time, a snake enters the cockpit and bites the co-pilot. The pilot loses his control over the plane while fighting off the snake. Now the plane starts to fall down, and the luggages which kept the snakes away from them starts falling as well. Hearing people cry for help, Sean can no longer just sit by himself. He goes down to help, but the snakes have already entered, and they have started biting on the passengers. Sean rushes everyone to get to the upper deck of the plane. At the same time, a large anaconda breaks through from the glass and makes its way into the passenger area. Seeing the anaconda coming towards them, a passenger takes the dog of another passenger and throws it to the anaconda for it to eat. The dog owner gets distressed and starts to hit the man, who had no remorse. Suddenly, the anaconda appears and wraps its body around that man and eats him alive. Meanwhile, Flynn and Claire enter the cockpit and somehow manage to pull the plane up, just meters away before it nearly crashed. The co-pilot also gains back his consciousness and takes the plane back in his control. The remaining passengers who managed to go to the upper deck of the plane close the opening of the stair of the raft to not let any snakes inside. Dr. Price receives an email with the pictures sent by Agent Flynn of the snakes that they managed to get hold of. Reviewing the pictures, Dr. Price reveals that the snakes aren't from the United States, so they might not have enough time to collect all the anti-venoms from outside the country. But since the snakes were left there by Eddie Kim, who lives in Leh, they believe some illegal dealer from Leh might have given the snakes to Eddie Kim. So their only hope of getting anti-venoms for those snakes is to catch that dealer and take the anti-venom from him. Back on the plane, Grace, the flight attendant who saved the life of a baby, has also lost her life to the snake bite. The co-pilot says that the inside of the planes were heating up and it could soon cause damage to the engines. So Claire helps Flynn to reach the cargo hold, where he has to fix the AC system. Flynn goes in there and uses a DIY flamethrower to kill some snakes. At last, he manages to get the power back. FBI reaches the house of the illegal snake dealer, who they believe to be the one who supplied the snakes to Eddie Kim. The dealer fires shots at the FBI agents and tries to escape from there. But the dealer gets bitten by one of his snakes and gets caught by the agents. The dealer asks for the anti-venom to save his life. But in exchange for it, Agent Harris wants information about the snakes on the plane. To get the anti-venom, the dealer gives them a list of all the snakes that were left in the plane, and he also agrees to testify against Eddie Kim for being the mastermind behind all of this. Then the dealer is given his anti-venom, and Agent Harris gives the order to arrest Eddie Kim on multiple counts of murder. Agent Flynn also gets informed that the anti-venoms will be ready when they land at Leh Airport. Everyone gets happy hearing this news, but when they call the pilot from outside, they get no response. Agent Flynn breaks in and finds that the pilot was bitten by snakes who had somehow made their way into the cockpit. The pilot is dead, and they have no one to land the plane. Claire goes up to the passengers and asks if any of them knows how to land a plane. Then a popular rapper named 3G says that his bodyguard Troy knows how to fly a plane. At first, Troy questions himself whether he can do it or not, but later he agrees to land the plane. But there is still one more problem: the snakes which are inside the cockpit. At this point, Agent Flynn is furious. He tells everyone to fasten their seatbelts, and then he too straps himself with a rope. Everyone ducks their heads, and Agent Flynn shoots at the window. The break in the window creates a depressor inside the plane, and all the snakes are sent flying outside. Troy and Agent Flynn get inside the cockpit and manage to lock the door. Troy takes the plane in his control and proceeds to fly it. The flight control asks Troy if he has any experience flying a plane, and Troy answers that he has experience in flying all kinds of aircraft. Troy actually has never piloted before. All the experience he talked about came from playing Flight Simulator, a video game. They have no option but to let Troy land the plane. Troy gets serious, and with Agent Flynn's assistance, he proceeds to land the plane. After hitting the runway multiple times, Troy finally and barely manages to land the plane safely. The passengers get out of the plane with the help of an emergency slide. Agent Harris and Dr. Price also reach with the anti-venoms. Now, only Sean and Agent Flynn remain to get off the plane. Just about when Sean is ready to get out, he gets bitten by a snake. Agent Flynn shoots at the snake, and Sean falls through the slide. We see that Sean was wearing a bulletproof jacket, so he was completely fine. Now that everything is normal, Agent Flynn asks Claire out for dinner, which she happily accepts. As for Sean, he gets the phone number from Tiffany, the flight attendant who seemed interested in him. At the end, we see that Sean and Agent Flynn have become somewhat good friends, and the two of them go surfing together. Thanks for watching the video till the end. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more movie recaps.